Picture this. You bring home a fresh, warm loaf of bread from the bakery. You slice through that soft, golden crust, slather it in butter, and take a comforting bite. It feels like the ultimate simple pleasure. Stop right there. Look at what you are doing. Eating warm, fresh bread is the biological equivalent of buying a state-of-the-art home security system and leaving your front door wide open for burglars. That fluffy white center is pure, fast-acting glucose. It floods your bloodstream in minutes. But researchers have discovered something fascinating. If you simply put that exact same loaf of bread into the freezer, it transforms. It turns from a massive metabolic burden into a powerful biological shield. It is completely natural that you love fresh bread. Nature wired our primitive brains to crave fast, easily digestible energy. Warm bread feels deeply comforting to the stomach, not dangerous. You have not been making a mistake, you just lack the manual. Most people think freezing bread just preserves it. They think when they thaw it, they completely destroy all the active benefits. Stay with me. At the end, I will show you the exact 2-minute temperature shock preparation method that preserves 100% of its blood sugar lowering power. Let us dive deep into the mechanism of why modern bread is so destructive. The bread you buy today is not the bread your grandparents ate. 100 years ago, wheat was ground between heavy stone wheels. The resulting flour was coarse and dense. It contained the entire wheat berry. It had the tough, fibrous bran, which acted like a biological broom for your intestines. It had the nutrient-dense germ, packed with essential fatty acids and vitamins. It took your body hours of hard work to break it down. Today, commercial roller mills pulverize the grain into microscopic dust. They strip away the protective bran entirely. They completely remove the germ because its natural oils spoil too quickly on supermarket shelves. They leave behind nothing but pure, highly reactive endosperm. Think of the endosperm as the plant's pure energy storage. It's essentially plant sugar. When you mix this ultra-fine dust with water and bake it, you create a biological bomb. Your stomach does not have to work to digest it. The industrial machines already did the digesting for you. You are consuming pre-digested energy. Your body is built to handle slow, steady energy. It's built to extract nutrients from tough, fibrous foods. When you give it soft, warm, commercial bread, you completely overwhelm the system. The freezer is your way of fighting back. The freezer takes that soft, pre-digested energy and physically rebuilds it. It forces your digestive system to work hard again. It restores the natural metabolic balance your body desperately needs. Let us look directly inside your body right after that first bite. When you eat fresh starch, it hits your stomach and instantly dissolves into a massive sugar tsunami. Your digestive enzymes tear the soft bread apart in seconds. These enzymes are incredibly efficient. They act like microscopic scissors. They rapidly snip the long carbohydrate chains into single molecules of pure glucose. This releases a tidal wave of sugar directly into your delicate blood vessels. Your pancreas panics. It detects this massive influx of glucose and sounds the alarm. It pumps out massive amounts of insulin to clear the blood. Think of insulin as a fleet of delivery trucks. Their only job is to pick up the sugar from your blood and deliver it to your muscle cells for energy. But here is the massive problem. As we age past 50, our cellular insulin receptors become blunted and resistant. The locks on the doors to your muscles are jammed. The insulin delivery trucks arrive, but the doors refuse to open. The sugar has nowhere to go. The sugar is trapped. High blood sugar is highly toxic to your blood vessels. It acts like microscopic shards of glass, scratching the delicate inner lining of your arteries. Your body knows this is an acute emergency. It has to get that sugar out of the blood immediately. So where does the excess sugar go? Your liver intercepts it. Your liver is the ultimate metabolic filter. It takes that toxic excess sugar and rapidly converts it into fat. But it does not send this fat to your arms or legs. It packs it tightly around your internal organs. It wraps it around your liver, your pancreas, and your intestines. This is stubborn visceral fat. It's a desperate survival mechanism. It's your body protecting your blood vessels at the direct expense of your waistline. Furthermore, this visceral fat is biologically active. It constantly pumps inflammatory cytokines directly into your system. When insulin is constantly high, your body is locked in a state of fat storage. You physically cannot burn fat when insulin is present in your blood. It is a biological impossibility. This is why you can eat a single slice of warm bread and still feel heavy. It's not about the calories, it's about the severe hormonal response. Meanwhile, your blood sugar spikes violently. Then it crashes even harder. The crash is what makes you feel terrible. It leaves you exhausted. It causes severe brain fog. It triggers a massive release of cortisol and adrenaline to keep you awake. It makes you crave more carbohydrates just 2 hours later. You reach for another slice of bread. You reach for a cookie. The cycle starts all over again. It's a vicious trap. So, warm starch forces your pancreas into pure exhaustion and packs fat around your organs. But if you think your waistline is the only thing paying the price, you are entirely mistaken. The real catastrophe is quietly happening deep inside your lower intestine. Your gut microbiome is starving. It is waiting for nutrients that never arrive. The fresh bread is completely absorbed in the upper digestive tract. Nothing reaches the colon. Your protective bacteria are left with absolutely nothing to eat. They begin to die off. This creates a massive biological imbalance in your gut. This brings us to a remarkable metabolic hero. We call it type 3 resistant starch. When bread drops below freezing, the starches undergo a profound structural process called retrogradation. Think of it like liquid concrete setting into solid, indestructible bricks. The water molecules physically detach from the starch. The long chains of carbohydrates pack tightly together. They crystallize into a dense, rigid matrix. This is a physical transformation. The bread looks exactly the same on the outside, but on a microscopic level, it has completely changed its identity. Your stomach acids are completely powerless against it. Even highly corrosive digestive juices cannot break it down. The microscopic scissors cannot snip the crystallized chains. Eating bread fresh out of the oven prevents this entirely. You get zero resistant starch. Put a plus in the comments if you have always believed warm bread was harmless, or a minus if you already knew about this hidden sugar spike. Think back to how our ancestors stored food. They used cold cellars. They used ice boxes. They stored heavy, dense breads in freezing conditions to survive the long winters. They did not know the complex biology. They did not know the exact mechanisms of starch crystallization, but they were inadvertently protecting their blood vessels with every single slice. They were building resistant starch simply by surviving the cold. Today, we have constant access to fresh, warm food. We have lost this natural protective mechanism. We have engineered resistant starch entirely out of our modern diet. But you can put it back. In a few minutes, I will reveal exactly why putting this frozen shield in the microwave shatters it completely. But first, look at what happens when it reaches your gut. You can use your kitchen freezer as a metabolic time machine. Because those concrete bricks of frozen starch bypass your stomach completely, they arrive perfectly intact in your colon. They survive the harsh acid bath of the stomach. They travel through the long, winding path of the small intestine without being absorbed. They reach the large intestine in their original crystallized form. And this is exactly where the biological magic begins. This is where you take absolute control of your daily vitality. When resistant starch reaches your colon, it does not turn into sugar. It turns into food. Specifically, it feeds a highly beneficial microscopic strain of bacteria called Akkermansia mucinifera. This bacteria is your gut's primary defense system. It consumes this crystalline starch and produces a thick, protective substance called mucin. Think of mucin as a heavy-duty, waterproof sealant for your delicate gut wall. Your intestinal lining is surprisingly fragile. It is only one single cell thick. Think about that. A barrier thinner than a human hair is the only thing standing between the toxic waste in your digestive tract and your sterile bloodstream. But as we age, this lining takes a severe beating. It develops microscopic tears from stress, environmental toxins, and a lifetime of eating highly processed foods. When Akkermansia starves, it stops producing mucin. The the protective sealant thins out. The tight junctions between your intestinal cells begin to pull apart. Microscopic gaps open up. This is a condition known as intestinal permeability. Undigested proteins, harmful bacteria, and environmental toxins slip through these gaps directly into your bloodstream. Your immune system recognizes these invaders and launches a massive attack. It sends out inflammatory cytokines to neutralize the threat. But your immune system was designed for acute infections, not a constant daily flood of food toxins. It becomes completely exhausted. It becomes confused and starts reacting to everything you eat. This is what we call silent systemic inflammation. You do not feel it in your gut. You feel it in your knees when you walk up the stairs. You feel it in your fingers when you try to open a jar. You feel it as chronic fatigue after lunch. You see it as premature aging on your face. It disrupts your sleep and makes you feel older than you actually are. The protective mucin produced by your well-fed gut bacteria patches up those microscopic holes. It reinforces the barrier. It seals the tight junctions instantly. This supports a calm, balanced immune system. It relieves the constant burden of systemic inflammation. It also supports incredible insulin sensitivity throughout your entire body. When your gut lining is strong, your metabolism works efficiently. Your cells become highly responsive to insulin again. The jammed locks on the muscular doors are finally repaired. So the frozen starch acts as the ultimate fertilizer for your gut's repair team. Have you ever caught a supermarket tricking you with fake health labels on commercial bread? Tell me below. You see labels like multigrain or fortified. They are just marketing tricks. They do not tell you how the bread impacts your blood sugar. They do not tell you about the total lack of resistant starch. But before you throw your bread in the cold, you need to know about a massive error. I call it the refrigerator trap. Doing this one common thing ruins the texture and gives you zero metabolic protection. It is a mistake almost everyone makes. Many well-meaning people simply move their bread from the kitchen counter to the refrigerator. They want to prevent mold. They think cold is cold. Huge mistake. The refrigerator temperature is the absolute worst zone for bread preservation. It sits right around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. At this exact temperature, the water molecules migrate out of the starch structures incredibly fast. Let us look at the physics of staling. Bread is basically a sponge holding water inside a web of starch. At room temperature, that water stays somewhat stable. But when you drop the temperature to 40 degrees, the starch molecules begin to crystallize just enough to push the water out of the web, but not enough to become resistant. The water migrates to the crust, making it leathery, while the inside becomes crumbly and dry. This process happens up to 6 times faster in the fridge than on the counter. This makes the bread instantly stale, hard, and completely unpalatable. It tastes like dry cardboard. But here's the most dangerous part. It's not cold enough to trigger the deep crystallization needed for type 3 resistant starch. The structural transformation completely fails. You do not get the solid concrete bricks, you just get bad, dry bread. And because the starch hasn't fully crystallized, it still acts like fast-acting glucose. It still delivers a massive sugar spike to your bloodstream. Your pancreas still panics. The insulin trucks still crash. You suffer all the metabolic damage, and you don't even get the pleasure of eating good bread. It must be frozen solid, 0 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. You must bypass the staling zone completely. When you buy a high-quality loaf of bread, slice it immediately. Do not wait for it to get old. Put parchment paper between the slices so they don't stick together. Place the sliced loaf in a thick, airtight freezer bag. Squeeze out all the excess air to prevent freezer burn. Put it in the deepest, coldest part of your freezer. Do not put it in the freezer door where the temperature fluctuates wildly every time you open it. So, the fridge stales your bread without building the biological shield. But even if you freeze it perfectly, placing it inside one specific kitchen appliance will shatter that shield in 30 seconds. This is the microwave disaster. People take a rock-hard slice of frozen bread and toss it into the microwave to soften it up quickly. Stop doing this. Microwaves work by violently vibrating water molecules. This creates an intense, wet steam inside the bread. And what does that boiling steam do to your resistant starch? It instantly melts those protective concrete bricks right back into liquid sugar. The structure collapses, the magic vanishes. You lose all the gut-feeding, blood sugar-lowering benefits in seconds. You are back to square one. You have completely undone 24 hours of biological transformation in a matter of seconds. The bread becomes a dangerous metabolic burden once again. Real, traditional sourdough or dense rye bread is incredible for this freezing process, but supermarket brands often use chemical softeners that mess with natural crystallization. They add industrial dough conditioners to make the bread artificially soft for weeks on end. These chemicals severely interfere with the structural changes we desperately want. Real, natural products are hard to find now. Where are you watching from, and what does a real artisan loaf cost in your city? We are finally at that temperature shock protocol I promised you, the exact method that multiplies the resistant starch instead of destroying it. I call it the double drop protocol. First, freeze your bread for a full 24 hours. You need this prolonged time to ensure total, deep crystallization of those starch molecules. 12 hours is simply not enough. You want the core of the bread to be rock solid. Then, take the frozen slice directly from the freezer. Do not let it thaw. Thawing at room temperature allows some of the crystals to dissolve back into simple starches. Put it straight into a hot toaster. The extreme dry heat toasts the outside perfectly, but it acts as a shield for the dense crystal matrix inside. Studies show a fascinating biological quirk happening right here. Freezing and then toasting actually creates an even lower sugar spike than just freezing alone. The dry heat locks the armor in place. It reinforces the crystalline structure. It makes it even harder for your stomach enzymes to break down. By the way, do you store your bread in the fridge or on the counter? Let's debate in the comments. Freezing builds the biological shield, and dry toasting locks it in. But what you spread on top of that warm toast can either magnify this benefit or stall your digestion completely. You have to finish the protocol correctly. Never eat the toasted resistant starch completely dry. Pair it with a high-quality fat. Use a thick smear of real grass-fed butter. Use a fresh slice of avocado. Use a heavy drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Why? Biology. Fats trigger the release of a powerful digestive hormone called cholecystokinin, or CCK. When fat enters the upper intestine, your body releases this hormone to do something miraculous. It tells your gallbladder to release bile to digest the fat, but it also sends a powerful signal back up to your stomach. It tells the valve at the bottom of your stomach to clamp shut. It physically traps the food in your stomach, releasing it into the intestines drop by drop. CCK is your body's natural pacing system. Think of the fat as putting heavy speed bumps on a fast-moving highway. It forces whatever small amount of digestible starch is left in that bread to enter your blood at a slow, safe, controlled crawl. It prevents any residual insulin spikes. The fat smooths out the energy curve perfectly. Do not ruin this. Never use industrial seed oils. Never use artificial margarine. These fake fats are highly processed. They're oxidized. They trigger massive inflammation and completely cancel out the benefits of the resistant starch. You must use ancestral fats. Grass-fed butter is incredibly rich in butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that provides even more energy to your colon cells. High-quality extra virgin olive oil is packed with polyphenols that soothe your blood vessels. The monounsaturated fats in fresh avocado are incredibly stable and nourishing. Furthermore, fat is absolutely essential for nutrient absorption. The grass-fed butter contains vital fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin K2. Your body cannot absorb these vitamins without a fat carrier. By combining the resistant starch with healthy fat, you are creating a nutrient-dense powerhouse. It also keeps you deeply satiated for hours. When you eat plain carbohydrates, you're hungry an hour later. When you add heavy, healthy fats, your brain receives a powerful signal of fullness. You will not crave snacks. Try this exact combination tomorrow morning. Take one slice of 24-hour frozen sourdough. Toast it straight from the freezer until it is crisp and golden brown. Top it with a generous tablespoon of real grass-fed butter. Let the butter melt into the warm, textured surface. Eat it. Notice how your energy stays perfectly stable all morning long. Notice how the mid-morning brain fog never arrives. Notice how you feel light, focused, and completely satisfied. You are providing your body with steady, clean fuel. You have completely changed the biological destiny of your food. You took a simple, fast-acting carbohydrate. You froze it to build an impenetrable crystalline armor. You bypassed the stomach's dangerous sugar spike trap, and you delivered a targeted, nourishing feast directly to your gut's protective bacteria. You do not have to give up the foods you love. You do not have to declare war on bread. You just have to outsmart it. By letting your freezer do the heavy lifting, your favorite food becomes your body's best friend. It supports your gut lining. It protects your fragile metabolism. It relieves the silent inflammation that ages you prematurely. You regain complete control over your daily energy levels. You protect your blood vessels from toxic glucose spikes. You feed the beneficial bacteria that keep your immune system strong and vigilant. You can enjoy the simple pleasure of warm toast without the metabolic guilt. True health does not have to be about endless restriction. It does not have to be about eating flavorless food. It is about deeply understanding how your body processes information. Food is information. When you freeze and toast your bread, you are sending a completely different set of instructions to your cells. You are instructing them to repair, to protect, and to thrive. If this topic interested you, you will love this one too. Stop buying collagen powder. It converts to sugar, not skin. The billion-dollar lie about isolated collagen peptides and how, without specific trace minerals like copper, your body just burns it as expensive glucose. Stay vigorous. This information is strictly educational to support your daily vitality. Never change your doctor's medical treatment without their consent.